Here we go. It's the video that Robbo has been waiting for. He is incredibly up for this video. He's been asking me for ages. Rory, please, can we get together and do a ranking, a top 10 ranking of all-time Premier League Liverpool icons? So I said, okay, Robbo, if you want to do it, we'll do it. And here we are.
You've really stitched me up here, haven't you? Premier League era as well.
Premier League era. I'm going to kick us off. And I think you're going to like my first suggestion.
Go on.
I've gone John Barnes.
At number 10.
At number 10.
So, John Barnes was absolutely brilliant. John Barnes is my hero. John Barnes is the only sort of player, I was just telling you off camera, that has sort of made me a bit weak at the knees when I've met him, because I was just like, oh my God, that fella gave me so much entertainment. What a player. What a man. But in the Premier League era, he was no longer really a winger. He no longer had that burst of pace. He was no longer ripping up defences. He was patrolling in centre mid, spraying passes from there. Still a brilliant player. But anyone who watched John Barnes just pre-Premier League, before he had the operation, before it slowed him right down, he was unbelievable then. I mean, I used to work in Manchester for 10 years and argue on a daily basis with the Mancs about players. And the amount of them that didn't rate John Barnes blew my mind. And it was obviously all based on England or whatever. And I'm like, well, I don't care about England. I couldn't give a shit how he performed for England. He was unbelievable for Liverpool. But I don't know if he's making a top 10 of Premier League era as a centre midfielder and not a left winger.
This is interesting, because this is my least controversial one, and so is John Barnes not in yours?
He's not in mine, no.
Because of the redeployment and because his best period came
not
before
because
the Premier League.
I think he's absolutely.
Yeah. If it was a top 10 Liverpool all time,
he's in it all day.
Yeah.
He's in it all day.
Okay.
He's in it all day. If that's why I said the Premier League thing's even doing me dirty here.
Right.
Because if it was just all time, of course he's in it.
This doesn't bode well, because that was one of my suggestions where I thought Robbo's going to love this. So okay, we haven't got off to a flyer from my list. Who's number 10 on your list?
So 10. I mean, I'm even where they are in this list is giving me angst. But I'm just gonna have to go with it. Otherwise, we would never have made the video. So 10, I'm going our mate, Jamie Carragher.
Really?
I'm going Carragher as for his leadership, longevity. He's a very underrated defender. Like, it seems there's almost like a huge disrespect around him now, which I don't understand. I named my son after him.
It's amazing.
So, you know, and he was unbelievable for Liverpool. Like, you know, the amount of blocks he got in, the amount of strikers he stopped, the fights with Drogba.
He was the embodiment. He was the embodiment of our rivalry. Like, it's truly amazing that on like the most superficial level, like, he probably wouldn't agree with this, but I would say this. On the most superficial level, I have a kind of slight friendship. Like, he walks in a room and he goes, all right, Rory. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
he's won a European Cup, and he's just said hello to he knows my name. I feel like that when Scholes and Carragher.
I believe someone told him once that I'd named my son after him, and he said, I'm not having some scruff for mate and name his son after me. Yeah, I've never had that confirmed.
But I think that you know, that era, our rivalry in that era, it was. I look back on it as its most like pure form of football. I loved it. It was horrible. It was so hateful. You were our biggest rival. It was unbelievbally vitriolic.
Lampard wasn't he did Alonso,
yeah. And Alonso wouldn't have the apology either.
Yeah.
But it was everything. Do you remember Drogba scoring and sliding in front of Benitez? Benitez called him a diver.
Yeah.
In fact, it probably went back even a little bit pre Benitez versus Mourinho. Like, they arrived in the country 3 or 4 weeks away from one another.
Giving shit to our fans in the League Cup final.
Yeah. Gerrard scored his first goal for Chelsea. That's what it was. Remember, he scored the own goal, his first goal for Chelsea. No, it was an amazing period. It represented football in its kind of purest, most vitriolic, horrible form, something that would be really frowned upon now. But Jamie Carragher was the embodiment of you. You know what Chelsea fans hated? It was Carragher. Yeah. He was the personality, the personification. Yeah. He was unbelievable. But being that, I'm saying this all with admiration. He became the public face of Liverpool from a rival's perspective.
Well, we used to sing about, you know, we all dream of a team of Carraghers, and it was because there's always a thing. I'm sure this isn't just a Liverpool thing. It's probably at every club where if you're a fan the very minimum that you want to see from anyone that is lucky enough to put on the shirt of your club is maximum effort game after game. And Carragher gave absolutely everything in every game. I mean, you look back at and I know everyone sort of tires of us talking about it, but I'll never tire of talking about Istanbul, the final, 2005.
Nor should you. You should never tire of it.
He in that game, look at what he's doing. The blocks he's putting in, the cramp, getting up and blocking again. Do you know, it's unbelievable.
I can remember a gladiatorial performance from a gladiatorial player.
I can picture him skipping in front of me like Bambi when it was all over.
I don't even think this is... The other thing is, and I find this incredibly frustrating, and it seems to be something that really affects players that go into punditry. Their legacy is really frowned upon, and their brilliance is really frowned upon. Like you don't play over 700 games for Liverpool in the Premier League era by not being a good centre half. If Jamie Carragher was playing now, England would be building a team around him at the back. Like that's how good he was. He just unfortunate to a degree that the centre halves that were around at the time were some of the greatest that have ever lived.
Yeah. Yeah,
there's no doubt. I've got him higher on the list. Like we won't.
And this is the thing. This is what sort of bugs me about these lists because I think if I'd have sat down and really thought about it, maybe it'd be higher on mine. But then the way my mind works about football and the players that I put higher than them, by and large, are players that scored loads of goals and things like. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm a basic bitch when it comes to football. Like I want to see things.
Attackers. I'm with you on that. Attackers.
So, but. Equally, Carragher was superb for us, and rightly in there, not least because of the one I'm pulling me on next time we film an overlap saying, where was I, lad?
Yeah. Do you know what? I love talking about that era of football as well, so we better move on, because I could talk about our rivalry then. Like Reese's own goal, like it was just the best. It was like football. It was just the best. And Carragher was obviously the emblem of your team there. In 9, this could be controversial, but I've gone for Jordan Henderson. The captain of the team. You're frowning. You don't seem. You're wincing. In fact,
no. I mean,
don't seem
Jordan's fantastic. As you say, the captain that won us the league, the captain who lifted the European Cup. I just think of all. Back to my previous answer, almost like of all the players that have played for us in the Premier League era, would you say if you're going to the match, he's got you out your seat? He's giving you that enjoyment. He's got loads of moments that stick in your mind. I think he was a brilliant captain. I think he was an underrated captain. I think a lot of people don't rate him as a footballer then and now.
Can you be a limited footballer, but an exceptional captain?
I think he was an exceptional captain.
Yeah, I do as well.
And I think you heard it. COVID games and things like that, especially where there's no crowd cutting out the noise. It's his voice you hear all the time, and I think it's that's the easy solution to things like why is Tuchel put him in the squad and things like that? Why is he still in the Premier League now?
Oh no, now I think that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
Now I think it's ludicrous.
But I think that's why though. I think that is why. If you're looking for a reason why, I think it is because he sets standards. Yeah. It is because he's a leader, and I think the problem arrived at Liverpool when it was like, yeah, you're not going to be in the team every week, mate, anymore. And that's why I decided to get off, I think, because the way his mind works and how driven he is, I don't think he could take that.
No.
I don't think he could take a change to the role. And I've interviewed him, and he feels he's intense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can feel how much it burns in him and how much he's driven. So yeah, he's got every respect of mine, aside from the decision to go to Saudi. But I'm not putting him in my top 10.
Is he not in yours?
No.
Okay, so I've got him in 9 for basically you've articulated it perfectly. The other thing that I think he deserves a lot of credit for was he performed in a way selflessly that allowed that side, Alexander Arnold, to do what he did. It was him that was dropping in to cover that defensive side, wasn't it? Without him in that team, I'm not sure that the team functions. I don't know. Thiago Alcantara is obviously a better footballer than Jordan Henderson. But Jordan Henderson is a far more effective footballer than Thiago Alcantara.
This is where you're having almost existential conversations about football, though, isn't it? Because if you're saying that about Henderson, well, I'll say it back to you about Wijnaldum, because Wijnaldum was brilliant for Liverpool, but very underrated. Probably not going to make lists like this and all the rest of it. But we missed him when he was gone, and he was great when he was there. And I think he did a lot of that. We talked on another show, me and you, didn't we, about sort of, what's happening with Liverpool right now. And one of the problems that Arne Slot needs to fix is the balance of his midfield. And why were Palace able to bully us? Because we didn't have a Ronaldo, and we didn't have a Henderson. Exactly. So, maybe that's like...
It's an interesting debate, that. That kind of effective footballer versus brilliant footballer.
Yeah.
In fact, on the overlap, there was a recent episode with Des Walker that I watched, really good episode, and Des Walker was talking about Tony Dorigo versus Stuart Pearce, and why was Stuart Pearce in the team rather than Tony Dorigo? Dorigo, according to Walker, Dorigo was a better footballer, better on the ball, better eye for a pass, better visual. But the bottom line was, Tony Dorigo was a better player, but Stuart Pearce affected the result of the games that he played in far more than Dorigo ever did. Whatever the score was going to be with Dorigo in or out the team, whereas the score would be altered because of Stuart Pearce. And I think that having that kind of contribution to results led you to a league, led you to a European Cup, was the anchor of that side.
I don't think it's a mad shout by any stretch, and I did earlier have him in.
Got deleted. That's even worse. That's even worse.
I substituted them out because I started thinking about players. Bear in mind I'm old. Bear in mind I was born in 1976. So, I've seen a lot of Liverpool players, including all of them, in the Premier League era. So when I looked through the list, I thought, I've left someone out there. And when I thought, who am I substituting out? I substituted out.
So who have you got in 9?
So 9, I've off Firmino.
Firmino?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was class. He's not on my list.
He's not made your list. I thought he was brilliant for us. I absolutely loved watching him. I loved the little bits of magic that I provided. I loved his flamboyancy. I loved how white his teeth were.
I loved his song.
Yeah,
I loved his
song was unbelievable.
His song was unbelievable.
Everything about him, and he knitted together that front three. It seemed, based on what we've read and heard and even witnessed at times as well. Mane and Salah, perhaps there wasn't lots of love there between those two, and he seemed to knit them two to, like, even personally, they both liked him. And he no one played for Jurgen Klopp more than Roberto Firmino, and I think that says everything you need to know about him. And personally, a story I've told before, he scored in the World Club Cup final, and that game was when I found out I'd lost my dad. I was there at that game, and I got a phone call saying my dad had passed away. So that goal from that player in that moment is obviously incredibly...
Where was that game?
Where was it? Far East, wasn't it? Middle East, sorry.
Dubai, Abu Dhabi. We won it in Abu Dhabi as well.
I can't even remember the name of the place now.
Is that where that's where it all happened? Yeah. No, he was an amazing player, no doubt, and perhaps should be on my list, but he's not. And I'm beginning to think that I've made a pig's ear of this.
You said your 10 was perfect, and that
it was, and then immediately John Barnes was wrong. So now I'm doubting everything. So I've gone Henderson in 9. In 8, I've gone Michael Owen. Is he on your list?
Absolutely not.
Whoa, categorical.
Well, I just can't bring myself to put him on it. I know that's daft, and I know that he provided us moments of joy. And 2001 Cup final, unbelievable. I used to have him on my living room wall.
Did you?
Celebrating the one where he's right in the camera.
Yeah.
But he's a Man United player in my mind now. And look, it might be childish. I always say this about football. Football, really, if you boil it down to what it is, shouldn't take up this much of our mind and our lives and our time, but it does. And so when you put all that into it, I can't stick him on a list.
I rate it. No, I rate your approach to this. I really do. Like, Idaho Johnson was one of my favourite ever players. Like, I think he was honestly a masterful footballer, true genius footballer. What a player! But I don't have him on anything because he undermined all of his legendary Chelsea status by going to Tottenham for 6 months. Like, you went to Tottenham for 6 months, mate. I'm not having it. Cudicini the same. Not having it. Like, it's ridiculous. It's completely tribal. It's completely nonsensical.
But so
I'm
is
not
football.
having it.
But so is football.
But so is football.
And a player, I'm going to give away one of mine, but like Robbie wouldn't have done that. Fowler wouldn't have done that. Yeah. And I love Robbie Fowler. He's on my list. Yeah. Michael Owen isn't. And look,
am I right? Okay, tribalism aside, I've got Owen in 8. When I think about what Michael Owen was, I don't know if I've ever known anything like I really don't. It was Beatlemania.
Yeah.
It was Beatlemania. You know when I was, or now even, when you watch the footage of what the Beatles used to do, the Beatles would be getting off a plane in like South Carolina and these girls would be screaming and like fainting and stuff. That's what Michael Owen was like. Like, I was at school when he was coming through, right? I remember the girls had like pencil cases of Michael Owen and stuff. Girls, I went to a theatre school. None of the girls were into football. None of them. Right? None of them at all.
It was mad, and I mean, and even from a football sense, it was mad as well. I mean, I can remember going to Hillsborough. I think it was 3-3 against Sheffield Wednesday. My memory's not as good as yours though, so I might be wrong. But he scored in that game, and he was tiny, and he was like this kid, and he was 17 years old, and it was like, you can't work on a Premier League pitch. This isn't a thing. And then you'd see him play, and then you'd see his pace, and you'd see his finishing, and you were like,
he was horrible as well in a good way.
Yeah.
Do you remember that challenge on Schmeichel? I think he got sent off. I think he got sent off.
Yeah.
But that challenge on Schmeichel was nuts. Like, was it St James? It was that. That was a villain. That was a Scouse villain. You know, I read it in Carragher's book.
True. That's true.
Like, he was unreal.
Yeah.
And you know that debate that went round recently, Rooney versus Owen as teenagers. Everybody said Rooney. It wasn't.
Not
as teenagers.
Well,
he had the golden boot twice as a teenager.
Owen's point was right, wasn't it? In terms of I think he said I was better as a 17-year-old, but Wayne's had the better career.
Yeah, Wayne's a better footballer by a mile.
But that sort of initial burst on... I mean, Rooney had the burst on the scene, but Owen's numbers are much better at that age, aren't they? And as you say, Ballon d'Or, and he almost made me care about England. I mean, I can remember when he scored that goal against Argentina, and I was sat in the living room of my then girlfriend's, mum and dad, and it was all a bit like, I was her first proper boyfriend type of thing, and it was a bit cagey with the dad and all that, and then I've dived off the couch going, fucking get it! And then go, I'm really sorry. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because, it was just one of them, it left your open mouth that he'd done that to Argentina.
It's interesting. Do you just not have England at all? Do you just not...
I've never been to watch them. I never would go and watch them. I find them boring to watch. I've never felt an affinity to them.
You don't get a buzz for tournament football?
I'll watch it, don't get me wrong, and look, there have been times I think where the buzz has caught everyone sort of thing, and you've maybe got caught up in it a little bit, but I've just never felt it, and I can't make myself feel it. Do you know what I mean? And like I say, I don't. It's to me, the way I look at it is, I pour everything I've got into supporting Liverpool, and I've got nothing left. And like I'll go and watch a bit of non-league football and things like that, but even the way I watch that is much different to how I watch Liverpool.
I see it on your Instagram. You go to the team that Tottenham played recently.
Marine,
that's it.
I go and watch Marine, but and I want Marine to win, and I'd like them to do well. But it's more, I can have a pint and with me mates, the social aspect, and the football's almost secondary. Whereas when I go and watch Liverpool, I'm so invested in it.
And like, it's draining, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing enjoyable about it. Exactly. It's draining. Yeah.
So I think because supporting Liverpool is like that for me, I don't then have the
buzz for England.
No, not at all.
So I went Owen and 8. Have you done your 8?
No, I haven't done my 8. So I was 10 Carragher, 9 Firmino, 8 for me was McManaman.
Doesn't affect anything that he went off to Real Madrid. That doesn't change his legendary status.
So on that, I think it's a little bit unfair if you know the story. Do you know what I mean? And he was the first Bosman, wasn't he, and all that, or one of the first Bosman. And there's lots of people that still talk about him in a negative manner because he left and he went there and all the rest of it.
Was he one of the first Bosman? Off the back of that mark, that was right, really.
Yeah. So and so I think that in itself obviously stung because it was like a little bit like Trent, where people are like we should have had this big amount of money, but they could have given him another contract. They could have given him a bigger contract. They could have tied him down. All the same arguments or some of the same arguments that we had around Trent. But also, he was literally told at one point you can go and talk to Barcelona. Barcelona are interested in you. And then for whatever reason, I can't remember the story properly now. Bit mist of time job, but like it didn't. The club wasted his time. It was some kind of stalking horse type situation, and he didn't actually speak to anyone. But I think at that point he then sort of felt a bit unwanted, unloved, and it's over. But I still think back to I justified a lot of the players in my 10 as being players that have given me stand up moments, give me a buzz, and at that time when he was playing for us, we weren't the greatest side in Liverpool history or anything like that. I mean, he essentially won a League Cup final on his own. Yeah. But he was just that thing of, I'm from and he's from Kirkdale, like a local lad coming through, playing, winning games, being the best player on the pitch, all of that kind of stuff. I love that. That stirs something in me, you know what I mean? And he was an unbelievable, you know, look back at, for people that maybe don't remember him and they just think of a fella who's on the telly now, you know, TNT Sport or whatever. Go and look at his goal against Celtic. Go and look at his goal against Aston Villa, which was almost a carbon copy of it. Look at his goal against Arsenal, at Highbury.
Do you know where? Do you know where? Like, some of my earliest memories, they're always going to Chelsea against Liverpool. Like we beat you 1-0 one year. Neil Shipley scored a goal past Bruce Grobbler that I don't think crossed the line, and I can remember it. I know more about that day. Than I do what happened 2 weeks ago, Chelsea. Honestly, I can remember every single aspect of it. Shipley scoring the goal, I just remember everything so vividly. One of my best ever memories, I was on the benches at Chelsea, which were just like concrete slabs with like paint where that was your seat allocated. We drew 2-2 with Liverpool. John Spencer, one of my favourite ever players, scored an amazing goal. He scored 2 for us. McManaman scored 2 for you. Every time we scored, he scored.
Is that when you still had like the ambulance parked in the corner and that?
Yeah. It was. I think it was as it was changing. Yeah. But no, he was a class act. But not. I didn't necessarily expect to see him on this.
Him and Fowler together were unbelievable, and as I say, there was a point where he was definitely Liverpool's best player. I can remember, you know, the way you set up against Liverpool at that time was your man marked, McManaman. And I think there was a game once I remember going to, I think it was against Middlesbrough, and they put a lad on him, and he was just like everywhere, you know, everywhere McManaman went, he was on him, he's putting tackles in, he's pulling his shirt, all the rest of it. And at one point in the game, McManaman actually took his shirt off and gave it to the lad.
I love stuff like that. I just love stuff like that.
That's what I mean. I do as well. I love that bit of needle, so he had that as well. And look, he was a very, you know, his persona then was very different to how we see him publicly now, I think. And look, I bumped into him. I went to Southampton away when they were last in the Premier League. And when I was coming back to Liverpool, you know, obviously long drive, your driver literally has to stop by law on a drive like that. So we stopped at the services because he's got to have his half an hour break or whatever. And McManaman walked in, and I had a natter with him when he was sound.
Was he?
And I was asking him about what his favourite goal was. I said, because, you know, for me, Celtic, Villa or Arsenal. And he said, it's got to be Celtic. I've took the ball from the halfway line and put it in. He said, Arsenal just did it. But I mean, like, if you watch it, I think it's from a throw-in, and he sort of hooks a volley top in. I thought it was a fantastic goal, but shows you, for a pro maybe, they're just like, well, I can hit the ball like that, that's no problem. It's more, I beat all these fellas.
They're also so self-deprecating. Like, it doesn't do him any favours. Like, I think Jamie Carragher suffers from that. Like, he'll always talk about other defenders being so much better than him.
He does, doesn't he? I wouldn't get in this side, and I wouldn't get in that side. And you're like, you don't play 737 games if you're no good at football.
But then people a decade or 2 decades younger than us, they go, well, he said it, so it's true.
Yeah.
You know, it's nonsense. In 7, I've got Jamie Carragher. I've gone Carragher here, which I think is, I mean, he just has to be on, doesn't he? Who have you gone for in 7?
7th for me, I might actually, I'm going to say, I'm going to change them. Are you fiddling
with your list here?
I'm fiddling with it as we're going along here, yeah, because this is why I hate them. The way my mind works, it won't settle. And I'm just thinking, so how can you put him ahead of him and all of that? I will say Mane for 7.
Mane in 7.
Because I think he's very underrated. I think he was fantastic for us. The goal in at Bayern Munich away was unbelievable.
Back hill,
that, I was at that one, and that certainly sticks out. And I think, you know, Salah, rightly so, gets a lot of plaudits. Firmino was flamboyant and, you know, rocked around like Elton John, so you know, you couldn't fail but to notice him. And I feel like Sadio was quietly getting on with the work a lot of the time and winning Liverpool a lot of games, and an absolute pain in the arse to play against.
I would say, player. Yeah, I really did. Do you remember that when you went to Arsenal first day of the season?
Yeah, I was at that
goal.
Yeah, unbelievable. We were coming out of that. I remember being at that one. We come out of that and we were talking about. We were like that was like John Barnes in his prime.
Yeah, what are you doing?
It was like unbelievable.
Unbelievable goal. No, he was a fantastic player. And then when he got kind of redeployed as a centre forward, false 9, whatever you call it, he was brilliant at that as well. Yeah. Just a top level footballer, wasn't he? Yeah,
really, really good. And I'm really funny as well, because it felt as though what I've just said about the flamboyance, it was almost like he knew that, and maybe it did his head in a little bit, because he went through this stage of like copying Firmino's goal celebrations.
Yeah, he did,
you know,
didn't he?
doing stuff like that, maybe to endear himself a bit more. But I remember as well, like, you know, he had a bit of that sort of like street fighter about him in him, which I love in a player. I can remember someone going through him at Anfield once, and he gave the lad a load of stick, but then he stood up. And this is how you always win if you're the home player. He stood up and he just went like, "Come on!" to the crowd. And we're all like, "Yeah!" And then like Anfield really got up, and I thought, "Clever."
Yeah, he knows exactly. Yeah. No, he was a class act. Yeah. And you are right. So difficult to play against. Just made life so difficult for the opposition. Top class player. In 6, so I've got Carragher in 7, which we've discussed. In 6, I've gone Virgil van Dijk.
Okay.
Low.
He's in my list, but he's higher.
Okay. I've got him in 6. I think he's a brilliant player, and I think the reason why it sounds like he's low is because I think the top 5 are just so good. Like, I can't. It's not that I don't want Virgil van Dijk higher. It's that the top 5 are immovable.
That's the nature of these lists, and that's why it's annoying. Yeah. But yeah, it's he's unbelievable, isn't he? And I always wonder. I'm glad he's on your list and you're speaking about him like that, because it feels to me sometimes that there's some weird narratives that kick around that he's not that good.
Isn't it so funny how you and I look, we see,
and I'm like, are you joking? I'm watching him week in, week out, and he's perfect.
This is like, why doing these videos with you so good, right? Because it's funny how you see it through a totally different lens. It's exactly the same thing. I think that it's so much the other way. So you basically think he doesn't get the credit that he deserves.
I think some people are like, he's not as good as Liverpool fans say he is, and it's like, are you joking?
I think that. I think he's not as good as you all say he is, because you all say he's the best thing since sliced bread.
He is.
He isn't. That's where like I think he's an amazing player. I really do. I think he's an amazing player. I think he reset Liverpool. I think he's one of the best who have ever done it, and he's the best in the world in his position now. I think that's all true. But he isn't as good as you all say he is, which is what Jamie Carragher says, which is that he's the best Premier League defender of all time. That's where I feel like he is overrated.
That's because you're going to say John Terry.
But I'd say Terry, I'd also say Ferdinand was better than him.
See, I mean, straight away, you know, rivalness comes in, and I'm like, I can't say anything good about Rio Ferdinand ever. Yeah. But Van Dijk, for me, is just, you use the word like reset. When we got him, when he stood by the Christmas tree, when we'd finally got him done, it was like, you know, because we had all the, you know, he went on the roller coaster with Jurgen Klopp, and then we got shouted at for tapping him up and all that kind of stuff. And then he eventually did arrive at Liverpool. It was transformational from day one. He was just like, he was that dominant centre half. I think, you know, first game, does he score against Everton, I think, which isn't a bad way to start. He got it. He got Liverpool from day one. I've met him, I've interviewed him, and he's everything you wanted in that situation as well. Smelt lovely, as is the rumour. I even asked him what it was. I said, you know, everyone always says, you know, Troy Deeney said when he played against you, not only did he not get a sniff, but also you smelt lovely. What is it? I can smell it, and he wouldn't tell me.
Oh, really? He's got his own oud.
Whatever was going on, he wouldn't tell me what it was. But I just think he's a brilliant leader, and I always think about my way of thinking. If you like, I always think, what must it be like? You know, the stuff we don't see. What's it like on the training pitch? What's it like in the dressing room? What's it like on the coach, the plane, whatever? And I always think you must look at Virgil if he's in your side and think, we've got every fucking chance with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I agree with that. He's a difference maker, no doubt. And who have you got in 6?
So my 6, I've got Alisson.
Keeper?
Yeah. Have you not got a keeper?
You can't do that.
You can't. Alisson's unbelievable.
No, you can't do that.
Alisson is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen at Liverpool.
No, this is mental. This is like when people say like goalkeepers should win Ballon d'Ors and that. Like, this is mental.
It's not. It's not, because Alisson is that good. Alisson is that good. Like,
Alisson can't be in your top 10 Premier League players, so he just can't be.
Alisson has won his games. Alisson is like, you know, like there was a game against Napoli that, you know, it was basically down to Alisson that we were winning the game. And we've seen that over and over, you know, like we win in, you know, PSG ultimately knocked us out of the Champions League. But we nicked this ridiculous result out there where they battered us. And Alisson was just save after save after save. And like, there are older Liverpool fans than me who will argue that like they watch Clements, and some of them will say Clements is better than Alisson. And I've caused lots of arguments by genuinely saying, I've watched the videos, but you saw him in person, and I respect that. But I'm always like, genuinely, what could Clemens do that Alisson can't do? Because I don't see a flaw in his game. I think he's unbelievable. I think all the stuff that you want from a keeper, even the stuff like, the stuff that I used to hate about, like, say, Schmeichel, where you were like, what a presence he is.
Yeah.
And sort of like, you just imagine, don't you imagine being on that pitch, running through one-on-one, seeing him there and just thinking, shit. And I think Alisson's got that. I think there are times where I'm looking at him thinking, you look like a serial killer.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm running through on goal and I'm seeing a serial killer bearing down on me, it might get into me head. But I think he's unbelievable.
So do you think then, if we were talking about Liverpool all time, is there a chance that you still say an Alisson?
Well, there's so many more to pick from then, isn't there?
But so out of, say we were doing an all-time just keepers, is it potentially Alisson?
Well, would I say he's the
the
best keeper we've ever had? Yeah, I've said that before, and
really?
I've got loads of pelters for it.
Out of the contenders, is it Ray Clements?
It's Ray Clements or him.
Is there there's nobody else?
That's
not Bruce?
No. Bruce did too many mad things, didn't he? Let's be honest. But, lovable and all the rest of it. But
yeah, okay. He's most certainly not on my list. In 5,
you just hate keepers by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I don't recognise their legitimacy as footballers. I think we could have a conversation about best goalkeepers, but I'm not having that.
I mean, what I think my list is biased to is because I saw every one of the seasons that we didn't win the league in. When we finally did, when we got it done, after all of that time and all of my life, I think I just love them lads.
I can see that. I can see that. There's always a particular team that warms your heart. And you're always going to bring them up in these circumstances. And then there are players that I think deserve to be on it that you're just never going to put on it. For example, in 5, I've got Fernando Torres.
Yeah.
Mate, I've never seen anything like it that first season.
Yeah, he was unbelievable, to be fair.
I've never seen anything like it. Like, that was in the kind of mist of our rivalry. I was convinced that we were going to sign him. It felt like it was a natural progression into Chelsea. You ended up getting him. He was absolutely unplayable. That link-up that you had with Steven Gerrard, I remember you were coming to us, actually, and you needed to... So it would have been one of the Champions League ties that we had. You were coming to us, and you obviously needed to score. We must have played away first. Maybe the Ivanovic game. You were coming to Stamford Bridge, and Gerrard was interviewed, and I remember the quote so well. They went, "You've never scored at Stamford Bridge in the Champions League so far." And he went, "Well, we've never been there with Nando in the team, though, have we?" And I was like, God, he's having that impact on Gerrard. He's making Gerrard suddenly say, "Well, wait till you see what this fella's going to do."
I mean, what he did to Man United, those sticks in my mind, obviously, because we'd had so many years of misery going there, and so many years of misery generally because of them winning everything and us not winning, but certainly in terms of titles. So to go and put him on his arse and make a fool of him and all the rest of it and win 4-1 was just like, I can remember that day so well, because it was like, where there are just results where you all look at each other and say, we have got to go out and now get smashed because we've been waiting for something like that for so long.
Yeah.
And he was the standard bearer that day. He was the fella that made that happen in my mind. Yeah, he was brilliant for us. He was brilliant from the get-go. It was a great get by Benitez, who I'm sure you're a lot less fonder of than I am.
No, I hate him.
I thought so.
I hate him.
I still love him. I still think he's great. I forgot all about the Everton stuff. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm like that with Mourinho now. I don't care about the Tottenham stuff. I don't care.
It's just whatever, isn't it? He's in my heart forever. He won us the European Cup, and I was there, and it was unbelievable. But yeah, to get him, just it felt like everyone wanted him at some point, and whatever he said on the phone or however he did it, fair play. And yeah, he was a fantastic player.
But I'd never seen, like, things have changed a bit. The arrival of Haaland and some other Liverpool players that we'll discuss. But up until that point, I don't think I'd seen a player arrive and do that. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy, the volume of goals. It was crazy, the variety of goals that he could score as well.
There's one that always sticks in my mind, and I think Carragher jokingly claims it as an assist, doesn't he? I think it's against Blackburn, and Carragher pumps a ball down.
He takes it on his chest and then hooks it into the far corner.
Unbelievable
goal. What are you doing? That's not how you're meant to score goals.
Unbelievable goal.
Do you know when we signed him? I can honestly say I've never ever been more enthused about. So when you're an adult, basically, like when Ruud Gullit became a Chelsea player, I was obviously buzzing. But then you become an adult and you probably don't get, like, I don't know, when we signed Eden Hazard, I was excited, but I wasn't like totally buzzing because I was an adult. You enjoy things in a different way. When we signed Torres, I was like that. When we signed Torres, I was like, this is dynasty. This is like legacy. We're going to do now what Liverpool did in the late 70s, early 80s. We are about to have like an era. We are about to kind of change football. This era is going to belong to us. This is going to be utter domination. And we have done it by taking Liverpool, as British footballing institutions go, world footballing institutions go, arguably nothing really comparable. We've done it by taking their player. This is it. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I couldn't. Do you know, you remember we played you that first game? One of my mates who I used to go a lot with, he was banned from Chelsea at the time. I bunked him in. Like, everyone had to be there. Torres is making his Chelsea debut against Liverpool. Like, that's how big it is.
Didn't Agger, like, forearm smashed him? Yeah,
smashed him.
I remember that. That was absolutely brilliant because that broke so many hearts. That, and I mean, like, of grown-ups as well, because he was so embedded in our culture. The song was absolutely brilliant.
Great song.
The Nike advert that he was in, where he's walking through the park and all that. You know, we loved him. And like, you know, talked before, didn't we, about sort of international football and why, for me and many others from around my way, it just doesn't resonate. So we all supported Spain.
Yeah.
There was literally Spain flags up in people's windows
because you love Torres so much.
Torres, yeah. And so when it came to a World Cup or Euros, it was, well, we'll support Spain because Torres plays for them. And so it so many people said to me, and I think I wrote something similar at the time of, I'm just never going to be all in on a player again after that. You know, for him to go there during that height of that rivalry. No, he is. I mean, he's another one. He probably should be on this list.
He is the ultimate.
But I'm leaving him off because I'm a knobhead.
Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not at all. Do you know what I want football to be? He is. I can see it from your perspective. The ultimate Judas. Like he.
Do you know that we basically like he's not in the Owen camp now though. So there are loads of people now where you're just like, me included, we're just done with Owen. Can't be bothered. He's told and retold the story over and over again. And it's like, we're just not having it, mate. You just don't go to Man United. End of. With Torres, we've allowed him back in. So he's played in like charity games, foundation games at Anfield, and there was a bit of he got an applause, he got his song.
I'm surprised.
And it felt right, though, and it was good. And you could tell he was made up as well. And it was like we let him back in a little bit.
I'm surprised. He definitely bottled it. He could have scored against you. You know the Denver Bar game?
Yeah.
People forget, and I'm sure you've tried to forget. That game finished 2-0. That game finished 2-0. Torres went up the other end, and he purposefully didn't score. He gave the ball to Willian when he had a goal on. Like, obviously, you've phased this from your mind. But I kind of think from your perspective, perhaps he deserves credit for that. He literally opted out. I've never seen a striker do it, especially a clinical striker like he certainly was in mind, if not.
Have you seen him now, by the way?
Yeah, he's hench. I know, he's mental. But mate, I appreciate why he was not on your list. You loved him so much, and that's why the betrayal is so bad. What he did, like he went to us, which I appreciate it's not Man United, but it was Man United for a period. Like, our rivalry we were that for a period, and he went during that period. So I get why he's not on it. But he has to be on this list if you're not embedded in the culture of Liverpool, because he was nuts. Never known anything like it. Who have you gone for in 5 then?
5, I've got Robbie Fowler. I mean, do I need to explain?
No, I've got him in 4, so we can talk about him here.
Absolutely brilliant. Such a buzz about him before he'd even kicked the ball for the first team. Everyone knew about him. Everyone had heard of him. Everyone was waiting for the moment. Yeah.
Oh, what was he doing it all in the youth team, scoring bundles?
And literally everyone had heard of him. Everyone knew that he was ripping it up. And it was just like, well, when's the manager going to? I think it was Souness, wasn't it? When's Souness going to play him? When's he going to actually give him his chance? And then he gives him his chance. He's in. He's scoring. He's half full of goals against Fulham. And then there's all, straight away, he's the toxic terror. There's all these features on him. Like there's a video, it's still kicking around on YouTube, and like he's obviously ridiculously young. And they're like, how are you going to celebrate what you've just done in this match? And he's like, I'm going to go and have like chips and curry and a can of iron brew or whatever from the chippy. Do you know what I mean? He was a kid.
So normal,
kid from Toxteth. And you know, it's back to what I said before about McManaman. When they've grown up on similar streets to you, similar background and all that just resonates more, doesn't it? And
but as you know, with some players, I think you can say that, and maybe you give them credit that their footballing career doesn't necessarily deserve because it's identifiable with you.
Yeah.
I don't know. For example, if I were to do a Chelsea all-time 11, Dennis Wise is in it because he's from Shepherd's Bush, and because of the player he was. But if I'm totally honest, he's probably not better than Claude Makélélé. But he's going to be in my team over Claude Makélélé. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I feel like Robbie Fowler, he's in it because of his skill.
In it on merit.
He's in it on merit.
He's in it because, you know, literally people were like saying things like, he's up there with Ian Rush. You know, like you could have a pint and say, is he better than Ian Rush? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he was that good at finishing. And you know, he talked about Torres and range of goals. Fowler's range of goals, unbelievable. You know, chips, shots, volleys.
The hat trick against Arsenal in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Do you know one that I always thought was brilliant? It was in Europe, and he flicks it over the bloke's head. Brandbergen, Norwegian side. I think we got to Andre Flo from there.
Over the head and then
but
volleys
with the heel.
other side.
He does it with his heel.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic
goal. Unbelievable goal, yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you know...
In the Ecru kit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's one of those players as well. You know, when you talk about kind of the impact and transcending... Like, obviously, I grew up in North West London, but Liverpool fans about, obviously. I remember my mate used to play with... When we played in our... He used to put a thing here. Yeah. He had burger on the back. But he used to put, like, we're playing football in a cage. Do you know what I mean? But he'd always have that there.
The Robbie Fowler plaster, yeah. Love it.
No, he was a true icon. And, I mean, to this day, you can still say this. The most natural finisher that England have ever produced. Not the best, but the most natural finisher that England have ever had.
And that was another one. You know, the thing I said about sort of everyone knew as well. Like, so there was a lad, I remember I moved, the first house I ever bought, my own house in Highton. Someone moves in next door. I'm obviously talking to him in the garden one day, and it turned out like he played footy with Fowler as a kid, and he was a blue nose. This lad. So there's no need for him to embellish the story, you know. But so he said he was just always, he said like what you saw at Premier League level. He was always
That's
like
what
that.
He was doing.
and he said like even as a kid he said I was a goalie, and he said I was a mouthy goalie, and he said so I'd walk right outside my box and I'd be like having a go at defenders and trying to organise the midfield, you know, all of that kind of stuff. And he said, and it's only kids level, isn't it? So, and he said Fowler obviously saw that I was doing it, clocked it, and he said chip me from the halfway line. Yeah. And it's like, and he said nothing I could do, perfectly executed. And he said I remember thinking then, wow. And you know, like I say, he scored all types of goals. You can go on all day. There's one against Aston Villa where he hits it, and it's one of those shots where it just, you know, it's just so far. It's the trajectory of it is lovely. The hit is lovely. Unbelievable finisher.
Yeah. Toxteth as an area, would that be? Is Liverpool? Can you, like in London? I could go if you told me where someone was from in London. I could pretty much tell you who they probably support. Does that divide happen in Liverpool? If someone's from Toxteth, are they more likely to be a Liverpool fan?
No, not really. Not. I mean, if you were saying maybe, you know, like Bootle maybe is probably. I'll probably get loads of people giving me stick now, but I would probably say Bootle is more blue than red as an example. Right. But across the city, it's fairly, you know, you can be red or blue.
Right.
You know, you have situations.
Oh, so Toxteth wouldn't be a Liverpool.
It's not like it's not like a red area or anything like that. No.
Because was he an Everton fan?
Yeah. His our fella wasn't he? Yeah. And he'd been to Goodison and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But Kenny turned up in his road and
did what happened?
Did his magic and got him to sign for Liverpool.
A true icon. So I've got him in 4. You've got him in 5. Who have you therefore got in 4?
In 4, I've got Van Dijk.
You've got him high. You've got him that high.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just not the same here at all.
Just the transformational stuff, the stuff that led to us finally winning the title after all of those years of failure. Okay.
So who have you then got in 3?
In 3. So this is one that really sort of does me head in, because I know all the way through this I've talked a lot about I've left this person out because you know, I couldn't be doing with him. I've left this person out because he played for Man United, you know, whatever. But I just can't leave this fella out, even though I obviously disagreed with a lot of things he did, said, acted, all the rest of it. But you can't leave Suarez out because he was unbelievable.
I've got Suarez in 2.
There was the goals he scored against. But there's lots of goals he scored against Norwich. But the night at Anfield where he scored a hat trick, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they were like, go back and watch them again. They're unbelievable. And I wrote a piece about it saying, we all love our clubs and we're all passionate about them, and we almost try and project sometimes how I'm this massive red. I love going to every game, blah blah blah. But there are times, we're all human, aren't we? And there are times, I think, certainly for me, where sometimes it's dark, it's raining, and and you're a bit like,
be a chore.
and you're a bit like, a midweek match against Norwich, can I be arsed almost? Do you know what I mean? And I went to that, and it was like, the way he played that night was like a shot of adrenaline. Yeah. It was like, it's like the scene on Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, oh my, like, honestly, came out of that ground thinking, I can't wait to watch those goals back, because that was unbelievable. Yeah. And he was unbelievable. Like the dribbling skill, the needle, everything about him. Like, you've heard Gerrard talk about him and say basically, like, you'd have to chop his leg off to tell him that he wasn't playing in a game. There's none of that, like, I'm a bit injured, boss. I've got a twisted sock, I can't make it. Like, they had to almost chain him up to say, you are actually injured, you can't play. He would go on forever, and you could see that in him, couldn't you? And obviously, he took it too far. And the bit that rankles for me, I mean, I stood up in front of a big audience once in Australia, an Anfield rap show, and called him a word beginning with C and ending in T, just because I felt what he did to the club really let the club down. And it was when the bit that really sort of tipped me over the edge with it was when he essentially threw Kenny Dalglish under the bus, promised to shake everyone's hand and put an end to it essentially, and then continued it again.
Is that? I didn't know. Is that how that story? Is that the start of that?
Dalglish is the manager, isn't he? Yeah. So
is that I didn't obviously I know the footage. I've seen the footage where he won't do it, but I didn't realise that he'd had a pre.
Yeah, he'd said to the manager that was going to happen, that he was going to do it. He'd been told to do it, like put it to bed, end, all of that kind of stuff. And then it was like, Kenny's already had a load of stick anyway. The way Liverpool handled it was awful, was bad, was terrible, looks terrible when you go back and look at it now. My argument at the time was, why is Kenny being asked to do this? This should be above Kenny. This should be like, some leadership should be shown from the owners and things like that, which it wasn't at the time.
I didn't realise that he'd sort of reneged on his word.
But throwing, essentially football-wise, unbelievable, unbelievable.
One of the most gifted footballers I think I've ever seen.
And then he carried on, didn't he, when he went to Barcelona?
Do you know, this blew my mind. I don't know why, but fairly recently I was looking at the most goals that have been scored by Barcelona players. He went there late in my head. He spent like loads of time with you. He was obviously in Holland before that. He's fourth on the list.
Really?
He's fourth on the all. And bearing in mind, he might even be third. I'm just thinking, he might even be third.
That's mad.
Bearing in mind, obviously number one is Lionel Messi. So you're kind of not in. You're not one. You forget about one. Just talk about who finished second and third, right? I think he's third. That's how good he was. Yeah. That's how prolific he was when he was at Barcelona. Like. All of that.
He gets 31 for us in a season.
Bearing in mind, he was banned because he bit Ivanovic the end of the previous season. Yeah. He missed the first 7 games of the season on a ban.
So much fun. Him and Sturridge was so much fun to watch. And like I say, some of his other activities were highly questionable and sort of took the shine off. But like you say, football ability. I can't not put him in.
No.
If I'm trying to avoid stick, I've got to put him in there.
Unbelievable player. Who have you got in 2? I think I know who you've got in 2.
Mo Salah. Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? No one scored more goals than him in the Premier League era for Liverpool. Still here, still doing the stuff. Bit slow at the start of the season, but I think anyone writing him off is ridiculous. How many times has he been written off and then re-emerged?
That's one of. I mean, there's a million qualities. There's a million things that we could say demonstrating the brilliance of Mohamed Salah, but one thing that I think really does set him apart is the ability to go again, the determination to go again. The way that last season, he kind of arguably, on some sort of definition, he had his best ever Liverpool season. Bearing in mind, if you think of the seasons that he had before, think about the season he had on 2020, that period.
Goal involvement, if you want to use that, he's the highest in Europe, isn't he, last season?
Yeah, but when you think somebody burned so bright say 4 years ago, 5 years ago, was the best that they could be. Surely they're never going to be better than that. And then they actually re-emerge and come out as a better version of themselves. It's like Twin Peaks of a career. Yeah. Like, you could have a debate around the best Salah. Like, not even who's the best. Like, who's the best Salah?
Yeah.
No, I think he is like an unbelievable player, like a true great of the game.
I think the way a consistent thing that I keep talking about is my gripes about modern media and the way football's presented, and even the whole Premier League era thing sometimes annoys me and all that kind of thing, like as though we write off everything that came before it. But I think there is almost like an accepted truth almost, I think, where people seem to say, well, it's harder now to do these things. So, like someone will look at Ian Rush's goal record and say, well, 3, 4, 6, I think it is. Well, yeah, that was then though, wasn't it? It was easier then. The defenders weren't as good, whatever it might be. Mo Salah is the 3rd top goal scorer in the history of Liverpool Football Club in this era, playing on the wing.
Yeah. I know.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and do you know, if we're gonna be moany, right? Drink tea and moan, because I'm good at this as well, right? Do you know what I can't understand? When people don't just acknowledge the true greatness of consistency again and again and again. Like, when people, I don't know, this is another example of players that we know were great that have gone into media and they now get a lot of pelters. Paul Scholes won 11 league titles.
Unbelievable.
11. Like Chelsea, for context here, we're a wicked club, massive club as well. We've won 6. Paul Scholes has won 11, and people want to be snide about his career. Like, Mohamed Salah's genius again, season after season after season, guaranteed. I just think it is so weirdly frowned upon, so weirdly not. People will go, I think Yaya Toure was better than Frank Lampard. I'm like, are you fucking mad? Like, are you fucking, like, it's absolutely mental. Just the sheer consistency, the sheer guarantee.
And that's it. And you speak to any Liverpool fan who regularly goes to the match, who's watching, Salah perform, and you're like, he's been kicked off the park for years. Like let's take the recent derby as an example. Moyes had plenty to say before the match, after the match, referee this, decisions that, and then of course, a lot of the fan base then pick it up and run with it as well. And I'm like, I'm not being funny, lads. I went to that game, and your defenders, your midfielders at time were putting their arm over Mo Salah, pulling him back. And that's not a free kick when it's Mo Salah. And this has gone on for years because obviously you get a target on your back when you score a lot of goals. So he's had a target on his back all of these years and has still scored goals season after season. Yeah. And I'm sure we're going to see it again this season.
No doubt.
Slow start.
Do you know what? There's no doubt. He's proven to us that there's no doubt. You're mad if you were doubting it. And, on the spirit of consistency, I think we're in agreement for number 1.
Got it. Well, I mean, there's a big name
or you've gone mad.
Or you have.
Yeah. Obviously, Gerrard.
Steven Gerrard.
Do you know the only thing I think is worth quickly asking you? Was there any debate 2-1? Like, was there ever a chance? No.
Not for me, no. I mean...
Is that a conversation?
You just got to, with these things, or the way I work, the way I've said all the way through, it's always from the heart for me. So, football should be that way. Football should be romantic, and you don't have to be romantic because Gerrard's also won the European Cup, won everything bar the Premier League, as everyone likes to remind them all the time. He's another one who's clocked up 700 games plus for Liverpool, like his mate Jamie. He comes at like so many memories of him. I said at the very start of the night, the people on this list are people that have made me stand up, that have made me shout and scream, that have made me mouth, fall open, going, oh my God. And I can remember him coming through with his haircut, freshly done, skinny lad, comes on, clearing the ball off the line against Everton and celebrating doing it and all that kind of stuff. And you're like, if I was ever anywhere near as good as you and I played in this game and I did that, I'd do
the same thing.
Do you know what I mean?
So relatable.
And he was hard, and he had a great shot on him, and he put tackles in, and sometimes he lost his rag and he gets sent off, and all of that stuff. That he was the epitome of Scouse on that pitch, and he was unbelievable, and he could play anywhere, and he could do anything, and again, there are some weirdos that exist out there in the football universe who somehow do them down, and I don't know how or why.
No, they're insignificant.
But if Zinedine Zidane is amazed by what you're doing and makes a play of saying so, I'll listen to him before I will.
Do you know what? I think most things, and this is the beauty of this YouTube channel, it's why I love it. I love other opinions. I love people disagreeing with me. I love to argue with you about Rafael Benitez. I love talking about our rivalry. And your opinion is totally valid. And even if I disagree with you passionately, I want to hear it. I feel like that about almost all opinions, apart from if you say something like that. Steven Gerrard was overrated. It's like, okay, mate, I really appreciate you saying that. You've actually done me a massive favour, because now I never talk to you again, and I know you're a moron. It's like a fantastic. I really actually appreciate it. I cannot.
Scored in a European Cup final, UEFA Cup final, FA Cup final, League Cup final. You know, how many moments do you need?
How many glorious goals as well. Like, truly glorious.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the goals that you, not you personally, but people would forget. I can kind of remember some. There was a goal that he scored away at Marseille.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even meant. He did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
He curled it the wrong. From where he was, when it was played into him, he's curled it the wrong way and it's gone in. It's like, mate, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Somebody teaching you how to play football would see you try that and go, mate, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
That's not how you're meant to hit the ball in that position. He was just unbelievable. And in terms of like natural footballing ability, I don't know if anybody really comes close apart from Wayne Rooney. Just in terms of like being a natural, wonderful footballer. He could play in any position on the pitch.
Exactly.
Be the best centre-half on the pitch. He'd be the best right-back on the pitch. Brilliant.
Player of the year,
going through on
Player of the year playing on the wing where he absolutely did not want to play, and he was fuming with Rafa that he put him out there, but then he was brilliant there.
Imagine a player
played right back, brilliant.
Can you imagine the player he would have been if he had an elite level manager through those years, rather than the Benitez?
I was wondering where you were going, but you know what I mean. Like, you can't do. I always think when you think about, like, say, the 2005 side and we win the European Cup, I always don't like it when it's sort of like as though it was some kind of fluke, and it's like, no, yes, we had a Steven Gerrard, and yes, that made a massive difference, but don't do down the rest of the squad. But equally, you know, some of the players.
No, that's not true. You know, there's an example I completely disagree with you. No, you didn't have a good. No, it was a Gerrard. It was. No,
it wasn't. No, what I mean is, some of them deserve, you know, like
Milan Barros.
Yeah, we had Biscam, we had Traore, but what I'm saying is that other players had moments that got us to that final and that out. But it's
a Gerrard final.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is, imagine they were better. And imagine like if we'd had a situation like now, where Liverpool had the means to go out and break the British record twice and all this kind of stuff. Imagine those people were being put around them, and imagine what we would have seen then. Because there was definitely a thing so many times where you could see it, that he felt he had to go and do something. He had to lift Liverpool almost on his own at time.
But he was right to feel that way as well. Because it was...
But imagine the pressure of that.
I remember
imagine being like, you know, when he finally left and he went to America. I remember him doing an interview where he basically said, "I can just walk around now." Yeah. And like,
do you know what, we paid him the ultimate respect one year, just to amplify that point. We never did this. We put Michael Essien on him one year. We completely tried to play 10 on 10 because we were like, the rest of our 10 are better than the rest of your 10. Yeah. So we will sacrifice the brilliance of Essien for Gerrard, and then we'll see what happens. And it worked. That's how good Gerrard was. That we were ready to effectively say, we'll play without one of our best midfielders because we will make sure that you do as well.
I can remember, I guess I'm contradicting what I said now, but I can remember something he did. I think I'm pretty sure it was at Highbury. And he got the ball and he pinged this pass out to the wing. Unbelievable pass, pinpoint to Dagan.
Yeah.
And Dagan miscontrolled it, and it went out.
And he's like that.
And his face was an absolute picture.
Yeah, because if he's playing that to somebody like the best in the league at that time would have been, I don't know, Robin, you go 1-0 up.
Yeah.
If Robin's a Liverpool player rather than Chelsea's, if he plays that ball to Robin control. If he plays that ball to Damien Duff plays it to Joe Cole, whoever the best around at the time was. It's a goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of that.
And that goal, you know, we can't end the conversation without mentioning it. That goal, FA Cup final, West Ham.
It's about 40 yards, man. It's a bullet. The ball would still be moving now if there wasn't a net.
Unbelievable. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
And that's not even I don't know, it's not even his biggest moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, unreal, absolutely unreal. This has been an honour. Thanks you. I know you hated doing this, so I really appreciate you finding the time, Robbo. Really always a joy to chat football with you. Make sure that you click the link in the description below. That is where you'll find the link to Robbo's channel with some fantastic stuff going on there. And let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe. We'll see you in a bit. Ta-da.